All right, Miles, let's move on to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers a little bit. They found themselves in the news this week as we get closer to the NFL draft. A lot of teams have finished up their evaluations. They meet with a lot of these prospects in person, and there are reports coming out about what prospects have really impressed what teams, and specifically in this case with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've got a report of one prospect that I think Bucs fans will be really intrigued by, who the Buccaneers apparently are really, really big fans of.
Yeah, Nick, and we know that Brady has moved on from the Bucs this offseason, but that gives us a lot of time to reflect on the quarterback position with the Bucs. And Brady was a great starter, won him a Super Bowl. You gotta love that. I mean, what more could you ask for out of a guy like that? Always has the ability to win. But what I want to know is, who is the best second man? Who's the guy behind the guy? Who's your favorite Bucs backup quarterback of all time? Let us know that in the comments below, and make sure to stay tuned to the end of today's video to hear word from the partner of today's video, Neuro. But Nick, who are the Bucs eyeing in this upcoming draft?
Yeah, so obviously the quarterback position is front and center for Tampa Bay. Of course, they drafted Kyle Trask not long ago, but with Brady gone, there's a lot of question marks at that position. They brought in Baker Mayfield. Again, it's kind of a bigger name than production. Mayfield has really stunk the last couple of years in the NFL. He's kind of just a veteran guy, in my opinion, to fill out the roster. And that's why I think it's a very interesting report that a quarterback prospect in this year's draft has really come out and impressed the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the feeling is mutual, apparently, on both sides. This is a report first reported by The Comeback. Miles, if you want to go ahead and throw it up. According to a report from J.C. Cornell of the Draft Network, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are, quote, in love, unquote, with Kentucky Wildcats quarterback Will Levis. Quote, rumor on the street is Buccaneers are in love with Levis. That could be an extremely risky move by Bulls. Draft someone that high. Your job depends on it, Cornell said it in a tweet on Wednesday. All right, Maya. So before Buccaneers fans really freak out and think, oh my goodness, are we going to trade 3 number 1 draft picks to move to get Will Levis? According to all reports, that doesn't seem to be the case. The Buccaneers are kind of taking the Steelers Kenny Pickett approach from last year, seeing if Levis falls into their lap, they may take him, or if he falls outside of the top 10, they may move up a few spots to take him. There are no reports that the Buccaneers are willing to go big and potentially move up 10, 12, 13 spots to take Levis. So take solace in that. But with that in mind, the fact that we've seen through all these draft evals, we've heard a lot about Bryce Young, we've heard a lot about CJ Stroud, we've heard a lot about Anthony Richardson. Will Levis has kind of fallen by the wayside here a little bit. So I would not be surprised if Levis falls out of the top 5 and top 10 and maybe works its way to Tampa Bay, in which case I think the Buccaneers would have a very interesting decision on their hands. And it seems they really like this kid, and he certainly has all the physical tools, Mize. Give me your thoughts on Levis Buccaneers, and if you think it's a good fit, and what are the chances of this actually happening?
So, Nick, there's been some weird negative press around Levis, like the craziest of crazy stuff that really isn't applicable to the football field whatsoever. And so outside of that, Nick, he's got everything you'd want in a quarterback. He's got the size, he's got the physical tools, he's got everything that you could think of, and he's got time in this Buccaneers team who have 2 serviceable backups. You got a guy in Baker Mayfield who can go out and he can play football for you. He can win games. He's not going to maybe make you go on a long playoff run, but he is serviceable. He's a guy that has a lot of experience in this league. He's a guy that is a good leader. I think he's always had that moxie. He can get the locker room fired up behind him. So that's a trait that Will Levis could learn from him. So I think taking Levis in and letting him sit for a minute, maybe let the 2 older guys on the team battle it out this season. Let Levis really sit back and learn. And we all know how the way of the NFL is anymore. The new rookie quarterbacks kind of come out a lot faster than people think, but you're thinking maybe mid 3/4 way through the season, Will Levis gets enough time under his belt. Maybe he starts to get some snaps, some reps. So a move like that would be really intriguing to me if the Bucs want to take their time, bide their time, and try to develop a guy of the future. And that is if he falls to them. Because if he falls to him, I think all of the tools and ability and just the rawness of Levis as a prospect is something that the Bucs can't miss on. You almost have to take him if he falls to you. It's too good to be true because people are passing him on that point. And he has so many skills and physical tools that you just have to take a guy like this, Nick, because there's too much what if unknown potential in him.
Yeah, and it's not so far-fetched to think that Levis falls to them at number 19. Daniel Jeremiah, of course, draft analyst for NFL Network, great podcast, Move the Sticks podcast, really smart guy, knows the NFL draft's been doing it for a lot of time, has a lot of great sources. he came out and predicted Will Levis would fall to the Buccaneers at number 19. And he's a guy, he stakes his reputation on a lot of these claims. Doesn't mean he's always right, far from it, but he doesn't just pull these things out of his hat. He has some merit, has some sources behind some of these things. So I think there is a good chance, certainly better than zero chance, that Levis falls to the Buccaneers at 19. And look, I know a lot of Tampa Bay fans would be like, hey, listen, we're tanking for Caleb Williams next season. Look, I get it. That's where your head's at, but it never really works out the way you expect it, right? You look at the Miami Dolphins a couple of years ago. They were tanking for the number 1 overall pick. They ended up at like number 6. Look at last year. Houston, literally the biggest tank job we've seen in the NFL in probably 4 or 5 years. They go out and they finish not with the number 1 overall pick, with the number 2 overall pick. If that would have happened to the Bucs next season, they would miss out on Caleb Williams, for example. So again, don't just sit there and say, well, we're already focused on next year. We want Caleb Williams. It won't necessarily work out. And if you get an interesting prospect like Levis, who certainly has the physical talent, certainly seems to have all the, everything you want in terms of checking the box for an NFL quarterback, maybe a Josh Allen kind of player, getting him at number 19, if he falls to you, and Jeremiah says he has a good chance of doing that, I think would be a huge steal for this Tampa Bay organization.
Yeah, Nick, and it's only a number 19 pick, and I think teams need to take more of the approach, and I'm going to give some examples here. One of them works out. One of them doesn't really work out as much. But you think of, the Cardinals, when they have Rosen and they picked him in the first round, they realized it didn't work out and they're able to move on and go get Kyler Murray. That's the risk that you kind of have to take in a situation like this. You take Levis if he falls to you. If he's the guy, you take the risk, because if he is the quarterback of the future, great. If not, I think teams put too much value into keeping on a guy. If he's not there, then you can move on from him and then plan accordingly for the next season. So I don't think there's any risk. We're saying if he falls to the Bucs range in that number 19 position, it's too good of an opportunity to miss out on.
All right, Miles, we would like to give a special thanks to our partner today's video, Neuro.
That's right, Nick. And I want you to go with me on a journey really fast. I want you to imagine this. It's 4th and goal in the big game, Nick. Your team is relying on you to make the big-time game-winning play. I know you've been in this situation before, Nick. The stadium is roaring. The clock is ticking. The game is on the line. But if only in that moment you were able to have some Neuro Gum. Neuro Gum will help you stay concentrated, and it gives you a burst of energy without a nasty crash.
That's right, Miles. Neuro has thoughtfully curated ingredients and does endless lab testing, which means that you can reach the right state of mind safely and consistently. That's the most important part. It gives you a clean burst of energy and focus without the jitters of coffee or any of those other energy drinks.
That's right, Nick. And if you click our sponsor link in the description below, you can enjoy energy, calm, and focus whenever you need it.